Perry Stone, very famous in the charismatic movement, and he has a program that he's been doing for many years now called Manifest. And on the Fighting for the Faith podcast, we covered Perry Stone with some regularity because he came up with some just ridiculous things that he would say. In fact, the music that we would use for Perry Stone was "I'm a nut, I'm a nut, I'm a nut." My life don't ever get in a rut. Woo, 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 woo. The head of my shoulders is sore loose. Yeah, anyway, that was the music. I'm not making that up. You could find it in the archives of the Fighting for the Faith podcast. Anyway, that was the music we used for Perry Stone. And oddly enough, when I first discovered him, and I said, I'm thinking about doing some segments on Perry Stone. Does anyone have any recommendations for like Perry Stone update music for our podcast? And it was Phil Johnson of Grace to You Ministries, the right-hand guy, John MacArthur, who suggested "I'm a Nut." Anyway, so that kind of gives you an idea of what we've been dealing with regarding Perry Stone. This guy is a tin penny charlatan, and the thing is, he's got chops. He's like believable in the storytelling that he gives. But if you've been following him for any length of time, then you know that earlier this year, Perry Stone went on an unannounced sabbatical. Yeah, I've seen major ministry guys go on unannounced sabbaticals before, and usually it's because of a moral failing. And that was my initial suspicion. I remember Kozar sent me the link to the announcement, and we were both thinking, dang, this just kind of is, yeah, you smell that? Yeah, it smells fishy. Anyway, it smelled fishy. So what ended up happening is that, you just sat because you didn't know, no one was talking about it. He disappeared and he was gone for months at a time, just months. And then all of a sudden he was restored. There was some kind of a service, and one of the people on his board of directors, female pastrix kind of gal, he was restored to ministry. He even sang a duet with her. I mean, and the thing is that the details about what happened and why he was on sabbatical, what was given in that restoration service, and what later was released in the what is this paper? This is the Chattanooga Times Free Press. There were certain things that were just left out of the story. So what we're going to do today, we're going to take a look at the story as it relates to what was published in the Chattanooga Times Free Press regarding his disappearance. And this was published on July 30th, about the time that he was restored. And we're going to check in also with Perry Stone, see what he's up to lately. Because let's just say that I've known for years now, more than, a better part of a decade, that this guy is a tin penny charlatan. He's somebody who exploits you with false words, and we'll take a look at what he's up to. In fact, let me give you a hint. It's not even a hint. I'll just kind of lay it out right now. He right now is fishing for somebody to purchase from him the recipe for the elixir of life. If familiar with alchemy, yeah, I'm not making that up. So we'll check in with him because he's lost some of his chops since his unannounced sabbatical, and coming back, he's not as good as he used to be at exploiting people with false words, and so we'll check in with that. So all of that being said, let's whirl up the desktop here, and there we go. This is an article published July 30th, 2020, Chattanooga Times Free Press, and I would note that when Perry Stone was publicly restored to ministry, these details were not shared at that restoration service. And so it's the headline reads, Cleveland evangelist Perry Stone acted inappropriately with female employees. That's a big charge, by the way, huge charge. So ministry placed him on sabbatical after determining the issues were, quote, civil in nature and not criminal. Can we talk about the spiritual nature of these things? A pastor is supposed to be somebody who, is above reproach. And And if he acted inappropriately with female employees, that's a plural there. Just maybe he's not biblically qualified. There's a spiritual aspect to this too, to be doing public ministry at all. So the way the story reads, Perry Stone has been away from his multi-million-dollar ministry. The emphasis on the word multi-million here. In fact, let me make this text just a little bit bigger. That's helpful. Anyway, in Cleveland, Tennessee for 3 months, leaving many of his followers confused. Yeah, it just happened all of a sudden, unannounced. And in his restoration service, he made it sound like it was all just a medical issue. He was suffering from bad health, from anxiety, and burning the candle at both ends and stuff. But there was more to it, and these are the details that were not discussed at the restoration service. But in an audio message played for a small in-person group of church members several weeks ago, all right, and this was obtained by the Times Free Press, which means the reporter here who wrote this heard that audio message. Stone said he acted inappropriately with female employees. Yeah, plural employees. So in the message, Stone said women brought concerns about his actions and his words to his Voice of Evangelism board of directors. The board then asked him to step aside from public ministry and receive counseling. Okay, quote, and this is a quote from the audio. I confess at times I have been inappropriate in all this weariness of just nonstop ministry. Yeah, that you smell that? Yeah, see that again, that smells fishy. There's something wrong here. This isn't an apology of the right kind. Remember when Nancy Pelosi apologized for being set up? That wasn't an apology. Yes, you see. Anyway, same thing here. I confess at times I've been inappropriate in all this weariness of just nonstop ministry, Stone said in the message. I let my guard down. And I've asked, of course, God to forgive me for that. He let his guard down. I sat down with my family, with my beautiful, precious wife, Pam, the love of my life. I asked her to forgive me. Forgive you for what exactly? Letting your guard down and getting weary? And very humbly and very sincerely ask those who've been hurt or offended by my actions to please also forgive me for those things. Stone 61 did not say specifically what occurred, but said he acted inappropriately with them, plural, and with words and sometimes with actions. Under Tennessee law, non-consensual sexual advances, verbal or physical conduct of a sexual nature, or creating hostile work environments, among other behavior, are considered sexual harassment. That would be a potential issue there. So Stone did not respond to a request for a comment for this story. However, a statement from the Voice of Evangelism Board of Directors said Stone was placed on sabbatical first because of health concerns. Secondly, the statement said a couple of employees, that's more than one, at Voice of Evangelism requested to meet with the board of directors to address concerns of inappropriate words and actions. Upon review, the board determined the issues were civil in nature and not criminal, but that the behavior deviated from the biblical standards set in place for VOE leadership. So the board unanimously initiated his current sabbatical. This action was not reactionary, but with much prayer, it was set in place to uphold the highest standards of integrity and transparency. Highest standards of transparency. Why wasn't this discussed? The women who said that he acted inappropriately, this words and actions. How come none of that was discussed in the spirit of transparency at Perry Stone's restoration service? Yeah, don't you think that that's something vitally important that should have been addressed as to one of the reasons why he was put on a sabbatical. Of course, it wasn't reactionary. And he didn't really apologize for saying and acting in ways that were sexually inappropriate. He apologized for, what was his apology again? For inappropriate. I've been inappropriate in all this weariness and nonstop ministry. Yeah, it doesn't sound like an apology to me. So yeah, something's really off here. Something's really off.